In this video, we're going to continue our exploration of the mysteries of Genesis according to the book Genesis Revealed. We're going to speak today about the 7 days of creation, and this is going to give us a profound insight into the meaning and purpose of existence. It's interesting to note that today we see religion in opposition to science. We'll see here that the 7 days of creation actually present the cosmological picture of the ancient world. We usually read the Bible without any clear understanding of its structure, but what I would like to reveal to you is that upon analysis, we'll see that there's a remarkable logic and structure hidden within the text, but it demands that we do a special kind of analysis, which is really the foundation of the commentary Genesis Revealed. And I'll show you a glimpse of what this analysis is. In the chart here, you'll see that we have the 6 days of creation, and they're lined up in 2 columns. Day 1 is contrasted with day 4. Day 2 is contrasted with day 5. Day 3 is contrasted with day 6. On the left hand, each of the days shows a creation of an element which is the potential for the actualization of something in the right column. This is because the left side represents heavenly or potential elements. The right side represents more earthly, more actualized elements of creation. But the whole picture presents the very blueprint of creation itself. So in specific, you see that day 1 is creation of light. Light is the condition for the existence of actual physical lights or the stars in the sky. Day 2 is the division of the upper and lower heavenly waters. Heaven literally means in Hebrew, waters above. That is why you have a division of the heavens into 2 waters, above and below, because that is the very meaning of heaven, waters. Because waters is an image of expanse or space. On the right, we see day 5, an earthly representation of this division, which is the sky above, or heaven above, and the waters below. In day 3, we have the creation of land, or physicality, and vegetation, which is the creation of life force. Physicality and life force are then manifested in the physical world as the creation of animals and human beings. And we see at the end of the 6th day, the completion of creation, the height and purpose of creation is the creation of man. Now let's add another element to our analysis. We can see in this chart that the 4 elements of creation, that is fire, air, water, and land, are present in this analysis of the 6 days of creation. On the top we have fire, then we have division of air and water, air above, water below, just like we have in day 2 and day 5. And on the bottom we see land, just as we see that is the main theme of day 3 and day 6. These 4 elements are the 4 elements of creation that was the basis of all science in the ancient world. But interesting enough, this is also the basis of science today. Fire is what we call today energy. Air is gas, water is liquid, and land is matter. So we see a very similar structure. Now let's continue our analysis by considering the deeper meaning of the idea of 6 in number theory and 7. And this will reveal to us really the deepest secret of creation. 6 in number theory represents work. This is because everything in our physical world is based on the number 6. We also see that bees or our symbol of work, we say busy as a bee, they work in a honeycomb, which is a six-sided figure. So work in physical nature is actually represented by bees within a six-sided figure. So we can see that as an image for our very life. We're in the activity of work, like bees, and our world, our whole world that we live in, is a giant honeycomb, a giant six-sided figure. It's six sides, just like a cube. You have the north, south, east, and west face, and then above and below, six sides. So that's space. Time is also based on six. Our clock is 60 seconds, 60 minutes. We have 12 hours, which is 6 times 2, 24 hours, which is 6 times 4. There are an average 30 days in a month, which is 6 times 5, and approximately 360 days in a year, which is 6 times 60. We also see that the entire system of astronomy is based on the sexagesimal system, which is 360 degrees in a circle or sphere. So we see that 6 represents physical time and space and actual, also the idea of activities we see in the image of bees in the honeycomb. On the other hand, 7 represents the completion of cycles and therefore signifies rest. There are many different cycles that have 7 elements. For example, the 7 days in a week, 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 notes in a Western musical scale. There are 7 planets, 7 continents, and also 7 words in the first verse of the Hebrew Bible. So 7 represents completion. And we see this in all these different examples. But now let us consider the deeper meaning of the 7th day. When God completes his work, he rests and then blesses the 7th day. Many Western readers of Genesis have interpreted this to mean that God creates the world and then sits back and observes his creation and allows it to continue on its own. But how can that be if creation is happening in every moment, as we described in our first video? The message of the Torah is the very opposite of this. God created the world for the very purpose to have a place in which his presence can dwell. He tells Moses in the book of Exodus, "Build me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them." The meaning of the word blessing in Hebrew is to draw down God's infinite power and presence into the finite world. The root of the word is ni, the very part of the body we use to bend or bring downwards. God blesses the 7th day because it is on this day that his presence is brought downward to the earth and revealed. During the 6 days of creation, the workings of creation appear to function independently of God. In this way, nature veils or hides God's presence. The 7th day represents the point in time when the world of nature is at rest from its work. The work of nature is the hiding of God's presence. The 7th day, however, represents the very purpose of creation, the revelation of God in creation. This is perhaps the main theme of the entire drama of the 5 books of Moses. 7 represents the completion of natural cycles in which God's will is revealed. The process occurs on many levels in the Torah, whether it is at the end of the week on the Sabbath, the 7th year when the land rests, or the Jubilee year when land is restored to its tribal owners. Each of these laws reflects a way in which God asserts his will to govern the world of nature. This overturning of nature is symbolized by the number 8, as in the 8 days of Hanukkah and the circumcision on the 8th day. The 8th is that which is above nature. The 7 represents that which receives godliness and brings it into the world. This then is the secret of the creation. The sages teach us that God created the world ex nihilo, that is something from nothing. Something from nothing cannot be understood by the logical human mind. Creation is a complete miracle beyond all human understanding, and in each moment the world is continually created through this ongoing miracle. This, therefore, is the genuine understanding of, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The awareness of God's awesome presence that fills all creation and the miracle of existence. But what is the purpose of creation? It is to reveal God's goodness and providential care over all things. In the 6 days, this is hidden to a greater degree. In the 7th, it is revealed. History is like the 6 days. We see war, sickness, struggle, pain. However, the redemption is considered the 7th day. But how can we understand this concept of redemption? The book of Genesis is a story of a family, the children of Yaakov. The main part of the drama is the story of Joseph. Joseph's life and his story with his brothers reveals to us an amazing example of how God's providence can be hidden in great darkness. But in the end, Joseph's exile and enslavement are revealed to be the preparation for his ascent to great power in order to save his family and much of civilization from starvation. Every moment of life and all things, every rock, plant, animal, and human being is guided and protected by God's providence. This means that every moment of life and every part of creation has a role in the entirety of creation and the ultimate good that God wishes to bestow upon all creatures. This, then, is the main point of the Torah and the first principle of Judaism, according to Rabbi Moshe ben Maimonides. This principle is that God exists and oversees all creation for its good. This, then, is the meaning of the 6 days of work and the seventh day of rest. During the 6 days of work, God's providence over the world seems to be hidden. We think that the world operates on its own, like the clock that's wound up by the clockmaker. It seems to go by itself, according to the rules of nature, according to its own momentum and power. However, that's not the reality. The reality is what's revealed on the 7th day of rest. On the 7th day of rest, things achieve a state of peace. It is through that state of peace that we see God's presence revealed. That peace is what we called the vehicle for God's providential and miraculous power to be revealed within the natural world. This, then, is the very purpose of creation, that each of us should go on our own journey to see that all the events in our lives are like the 6 days of the week. We don't understand exactly how they all fit together, and we seem to be on our own in this process. However, when we examine our lives very carefully through meditation and reflection and study and prayer, we have the opportunity to gain insights and revelation into the actual working of God's providence in our own lives, just like in the story of Joseph. Now, each of us has a glimpse of this kind of experience at some point in our life, but the culmination of life, and perhaps the afterlife, is the complete revelation of the meaning of our own drama. However, all of human beings and all of humanity are going through a drama through history, and it is the very purpose of history that we will all reach a complete redemption of humanity, where the presence of God and His providence will no longer be hidden in human existence, but that will reach a time which is called the redemption, when God's functioning in the workings of nature will be completely revealed, so that nature will be shown to be what it is, a very thin veil for God's hand. And when this occurs, we will all have true and complete wisdom about the goodness and the perfection of God's creation. And that is the actual process of life, to go through this motion back and forth between these two states, the states of the 6 days of work, being involved in nature, and the seventh day, a time of rest and reflection, where we seek out closeness and revelation of God's presence.